everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well and having a great day. Now today's video is a very different one because I feel like we're doing a bit of time travelling. We're going back 5 years ago when I used to do my whole wedding series over here on YouTube, giving you advice, tips, the lead up to the wedding. We just recently celebrated our 5-year wedding anniversary in March, which I honestly cannot believe it's been that much time since we got married. Our wedding was so good. I just had the most amazing day. I feel like it was well planned, well organised, and there definitely are parts of the wedding that 5 years on I can look back on and go, actually that was a really good thing that we did there, a little bit of planning or like an idea. So I thought it'd be worthwhile sharing it with you, especially if any of you are brides to be or have friends that are getting married. Then these are really good tips to pass on, but also some regrets. Okay, so one of my first tips is stay the night before. If your wedding venue is a hotel or somewhere you can actually stay overnight, then try and do that, because we did the traditional American thing, which is have an evening meal before your wedding, and it's one of our favourite parts of our wedding weekend. So we decided to get married on a Sunday, and it ended up being that everyone stayed the night before on the Saturday night. We all went out for a meal together, so it was just really close friends and family, and it was a nice way for the kids to blow off steam together, to spend time with my close family that the next day I might not get to speak to as much because you've got so many guests at your wedding. And not only that, actually waking up in your wedding venue, I felt really relaxed that day because I knew I had everything with me. I was able to check everything the night before, make sure I hadn't left anything at home, and I suppose if I had done that, if I'd missed something out, then at least I could have gone home and had it ready for the next day. So definitely stay the night before if you can do that. Another tip is to have a fragrance of your wedding. So everyone talks about having a really nice wedding perfume and you just remember your wedding day from that scent, but for me, when I've got perfume on, I can't smell it anymore on myself. I think I almost go a little bit nose blind, but I wanted to have like a really nice scent to the wedding day. And actually, if your wedding venue permits it, you can burn some candles, but some places don't allow it. Even things like fragrance oils with some reeds in it, pop them on your tables and just try and get a scent to your day. For us, it was pomegranate noir. That was the scent of our wedding. It was almost like the dupe of the Jo Malone black pomegranate scent that we got, and it was a local company that made wax melt, fragrance diffuser reeds, and also big massive candles, which made for really nice centerpieces as well. And they actually were personalised with our names on it, so it said Mr. and Mrs. Reed and then our wedding date, and that sat in the centre of our centerpieces in the table. When we did the changeover from the ceremony into the meal, we walked in and the whole place smelled unbelievable. Even friends and family commented on it, that they walked in and the place smelled incredible. It was just such a lovely scent. All of the tables had the candles on it and the reed diffusers were there as well. But for me, it just was a really nice way to make the day feel special, and every time that me or friends smell that fragrance, it reminds me and them of our wedding day. So that's a really good thing. And actually another little thing as well is that we actually made those into wax melts and gave them out as wedding favours as well. So that's a really good tip if you're looking to do something quite inexpensive for your wedding guests. One of my biggest regrets is not having a Cricut machine. There are so many wedding ideas that I could have done with my Cricut machine, and if I'd had that then, honestly the possibilities would have been endless. I would have cut out a lovely wedding topper, I would have made personalised table decor, I would have been able to do my table plan. There are so many things that I could have done with my Cricut machine had I had it way back then, and it's so frustrating because there are loads of projects I would have loved to have done for a wedding. But in saying that, there are some projects that I'm going to show you just now that you could use as wedding guest favours, or you could actually gift to a bride or groom. One of my ideas would have been the table plan. So you can get the idea of what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you this project that I'm doing for the kids' rooms. It's the same idea, but except I'm going to do this as a chore list that they can tick off, but you can see how that would also translate really well into a table plan setup if you were to do it on a bigger scale. And then a nice idea for a wedding gift is personalised luggage tags. Most people go on holiday after their wedding and have a honeymoon, but even then it's nice to just have something personalised to the bride and groom. So using the Cricut machine, I'm going to go and make some personalised luggage tags for Mr. and Mrs. And I suppose this one could be done in so many ways, but if it was going to be a wedding gift, then I think it's quite good to do like a takeaway decider. So I think for me, with Fraser now having been married for 5 years and together for much longer than that, I think that the thing we mostly argue about is what we're having for dinner, especially if we're going out for dinner or we're getting a takeaway. So here is a good idea to do a little takeaway decider using wooden blocks. So this is my Cricut Joy, and as you can see, it is a tiny little machine. It's so compact, but it's mighty, and the amount of things you can do with this, the possibilities are endless. I've made kids pajamas out of it, personalised for their birthday. I have made name tags for their cups. I've done some labelling in the house. I've also made birthday cards. I'll just pull this out. This little cutting blade here is what does all of the magic in your Cricut Joy, that cuts out all of your designs, and you can then obviously take them off and transfer them onto any sort of items that you want to personalise or just jazz up a little bit. And this is going to be used to make Ella and Charlie's to-do lists in the morning. So just a really simple idea. I'm just going to make sure that I've cut out their name and then their chore list and almost make this like a little whiteboard. So I'm going to actually get the glass panel and make sure that I transfer all the vinyl onto it, and then they can display it in their room and they'll have a checklist every morning, so it makes getting ready in the morning a bit easier and gives them some responsibility. But I did have the idea that if you had maybe like your table numbers for your wedding, you could use these little frames or get fancier ones and then just put the table number in the middle by cutting out using the vinyl. Such a really easy and quick design idea, but you can find loads and loads of different ideas on the Cricut Design Space. There's tons to choose from. I've also got this little weeding tool. This is amazing for pulling out all the pieces of the vinyl that you're not looking to use. So I would normally use that for the next project, as you'll see. And I've also got another couple of little things like tweezers and a little sort of scalpel lifting tool. Actually, what you can also do is use the writable vinyl, which is here, and you can actually use this to make your own labels, as you'll see in the back. There's also loads of colours of vinyl to pick from. You can get like packs like this that'll have 3 different colours in it. You also get the holographic stuff, which is really fun. Ella has her birthday coming up, so I'll probably use some of this holographic stuff on the birthday things that we're doing. Get just like plain silver or black. There's so many other colours to choose from, so really good. And you can also get this now, which is the linerless transfer tape. You just put it down on top of it, you use your little scraper tool to attach your vinyl and then you pull it off, and then you stick it on to your project. It'll all make sense once I start showing you what I'm doing. So using the Cricut Design Space, which is just an app on your phone, you can create any type of project that you're looking to do, and it gives you the template of how that's going to look once it starts to cut out. Connect your Cricut Joy to your phone and then press go. Now I have just literally cut out all of this stuff for Charlie. I'm just going to show you how I can then start weeding this out. It's so simple. I'll just cut off the excess to begin with, and then you'll notice when I start to pull back on the vinyl, it'll leave on to-do list. That's it there. How smart does that look? And I've got a whiteboard pen, so when they go through each of the tasks in the morning, they can tick it off and know that they're ready for the day. Such a simple little task, and it just shows you that you really don't need to spend a long time making any of these items, and it also doesn't need to cost you a fortune, but it looks so professional once it's done. So next up, I'm going to take this luggage tag and put a little embellished Mr. or Mrs. on it, just so that I can show you how that looks. It's so easy to do. So I'm just going to go over to my phone, go in the Cricut Design Space, and then create a new project. Luckily on the Cricut Design Space already there is one for his and hers, and it's really easy to just go and use that project. Now I'm just going to make my own one, so I'm just going to go in here and write Mrs. Once I'm in edit, I can go to style and change it to regular, bold or italic, and then I can go into font name and choose from any of the fonts on the Cricut Design Space. There's so many to choose from, so we can make it curly, we can make it a bit more bold, you can do things like they're a bit different. So something like this will be perfect. Then you just hit make it and it will show you how to line it up on your cutting sheet. You can cut with a mat, or you can choose to just literally put your material in and let it cut it for you. So all I need to do now is just make sure that my Cricut Joy is connected to my phone. You just need to simply load up the machine now. What type of vinyl you've got? I've got Smart Vinyl Permanent. And then you just load your material into the machine. And then hit go and it will start to cut out for you. And then using the exact same process again, I just need to take my project and weed out all the parts that I don't need. Ta-da! How good does that look? That was just such a quick project, but you could definitely make something like this as a lovely wedding gift. My next project is a takeaway decider, but you can do this a few different ways. I'm going to make it a takeaway decider because I feel like that is the thing that we kind of like bicker about most, is where we're getting our takeaway from at the weekend. So I think this is a really good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and call it like the takeaway decider on here, and then put on 5 different types of cuisine. And this will need to be nice and small, so I'm going to actually go ahead and measure out what size it needs to be, and then make sure that I can print it to the exact size. Just like that, you guys. So simple, so effective, and just a little bit of equipment that you really need to think about investing in. Not just for if you have a wedding, because let's face it, there's so many projects you can use this for, especially with seasons, with Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, so many for Christmas and Halloween. But even like that, if you do know somebody that's getting married, if you're having a hen weekend, then there are loads of things that you can personalise. You can make your own cocktail charts, you can design your own glasses, you can do sunglasses, you could do cowboy hats. That seems to be a big theme just now, with like the bride on it and then like all the hen names. It would just be so good to have a little Cricut Joy in your life. And you can actually click the link in my description below, because I will link it there. Such a little compact piece of equipment, but I've used it loads since I've had it, especially doing really special things like kids' party favours or birthday pyjamas, things like that. Especially with the kids being in clubs, it means I can personalise all their stuff as well into their club colours. So if Ella's got anything for dancing, I can put her name on it, and it's so good. So you can use this for not only transferring vinyl, you can also make cutouts for cards, and you can also make cutouts for heat transferring onto clothes. So it's like smart iron on. So clever, and I know you guys are going to love it. Such a good little bit of equipment and an amazing thing to have in your home. So yeah, I just wish that I had a Cricut machine. Way back then I would have personalised everything. Even things like my guest book, I would have put it all in the same font. And there are so many things I could have done. And even when we were getting ready, I would have done my bridesmaids' glasses with their names on it, personalised. I could have done their little gift bags personalised. There are honestly so many ideas that I could have done if I had a Cricut machine back then. So that is one of my biggest regrets, is not having one of them way back then, because now I get so much use out of it. When it comes to your decor, I would absolutely say don't forget the ceiling. So we actually got some orchids and some flowers and got them suspended from the ceiling using invisible thread. It was just a really nice way to add some floral arrangement without having anything standing, with all these lovely orchids dangling between us on the invisible wire. And it was just a really nice way of not taking up any more floor space, but still having the effect of that sort of like really nice aesthetic picture for our first kiss. And on that point, here is my absolute top tip. Make sure that you hold the kiss for at least 5 seconds. This is the money shot for your photographer, and you don't want to miss out on having a really nice moment for that photograph. Just hold it for a few seconds, try and count it, practice with your other half, because that is the one that you really want when it comes to your wedding photographs, is the first kiss after you've been married. So definitely one for the memories, and you don't want to miss it. Speaking about DIYs, we did a DIY wedding cake. Now you might remember this, but I wanted to have one of the big lovely huge aesthetically pleasing 3-tier cakes, but they are a fortune, and honestly I can understand why, because cake making is so difficult, especially when it comes to wedding cakes, because there's no room for error. I got some fake tiers from Hobbycraft and just covered them with fondant. This was the best project ever because it looked so impressive on the day. We've got lovely pictures standing next to it. We've got pictures of us pretending to cut the cake, but it gave the look of a wedding cake, and we actually gave it to the venue to have in their display cabinet because it can keep for months and months. But this was such a good project and so simple to do. You could honestly just get started with this right now if your wedding is in advance. We had the venue make a huge big slab of cake that could be cut easily and taken away for guests. But yeah, that was a huge hit, and the fact that we didn't have to worry about wondering what the quality of the cake was going to be like because it's so large. I think you have to go for quite a dense cake with bills and things like that. I would have also worried about the transport of the cake, so having that stress taken away was a big deal, and it meant we could go for any sort of tray cake that we wanted for the guests in the evening. And speaking of the evening, here's a regret. I wish I'd put on a food truck. I went to 2 weddings now that have had food trucks at the end of the night for their guests, one of which was an ice cream van. I thought that was such a good idea. I think having like a vending van outside, like a street vendor with chips and burgers and all that kind of stuff, is such a good way to feed your guests at the end of the night, especially after a long day of drinks. I think having something like that at night time would be perfect. There's a huge tip: get a group photo. Oh my god, this is like the most important one of all. The way to do this is to try and get your photographer to be higher than everybody else. So if you're staying in a hotel, maybe they could use a balcony from one of the first floor apartments, and then they can look out onto the entire wedding party and take an aerial shot. Alternatively, your photographer might also have access to a drone, but trying to get a full picture where everyone is looking upwards is great because it means that no one is missed out. And this is also a really good way to transition between having the wedding breakfast and then also having your evening reception, especially if it's in the same room. It gives the staff a bit of time to switch over, and then allows everyone to mingle together after the photograph is taken. Plus, let's face it, when are you going to get a time again where you get all your friends and family in one photograph together? It's such a missed opportunity if you don't get this one on the big day, so make sure you mark it on your list and tell your photographer. I really wish I got everyone to take a selfie before the wedding. So I've seen this really cool idea where all the wedding guests turn up to the venue and they take a selfie with whoever they're with, really, like whoever they're sitting beside, and then they text it to the bride and groom to give them like a wedding wish. Obviously when you're busy getting ready for the day, you're not going to read them, or maybe you will, I don't know, but you can see them the next day. And I just think it's such a nice way to do something that doesn't even cost any money. Just take a selfie and send it into the bride and groom and just say like good luck on your wedding day. I think it's a really nice way of almost like a modern day guest book, and it means everyone does it before the wedding takes place. But I would definitely say that was a regret of mine. I wish I'd known that at the time, because what a good way to have memories on your phone and something nice to wake up to as newlyweds the next day and check back on when you're looking through your phone at all the pictures from the night before. That is a tip of mine. If you're getting married, make sure no one's taking photos through the ceremony. My big thing was I didn't want to have photographs that potentially I wanted to print or send on to friends and family where one person in the background had their phone out. I think it's also very telling, not even just now but like years from now, looking back on all the old phones, that will really age the photo. So if you want to keep it really sleek, I would definitely say to everybody, just before the wedding starts and before the bride comes in and all of that, there's a few kind of like housekeeping rules. Usually they'll point out fire exits, that kind of thing. I would also say please put your phones away and make sure that they're off, and don't take any pictures during the ceremony, because that's why the videographer and the photographers are there. I have got so many tips, but one of my big ones for the end of the night is flip-flops for your guests, especially the girls wearing heels. We got these white flip-flops, I'm sure they were like 80p out of Primark at the time, and we got a little basket and I made like a sign on it saying like something, it was like a little rhyme, I can't even remember what it was, but it was basically like pick a pair of flip-flops to save your dancing feet kind of thing. But it was really good because it meant that people could wear them going home and they weren't having to have their feet sore, so it meant that everyone was up on the dance floor having the best time with their flip-flops on, and they were just so comfy the whole night. Plus it didn't really break the bank with them being 80p each. I just got a bundle of them, put them at the side, and it was such a good idea. It meant that everyone everyone was comfortable and it saved people's feet by the end of the night. Now, I wasn't involved in this, but my auntie actually delegated some tasks to the kids at the wedding venue. It's a long day and they're kind of looking for stuff to do, so we got my nephew to go around with the guest book and get everyone to sign the guest book, and also we had an Instax camera, so he was in charge of taking loads of photos of everybody, and it gave him a job to do. But I would definitely say the guest book thing, sometimes it doesn't really get utilised as much. People forget to do it. It doesn't usually go around the tables, but if you get a little cute kid there telling them to write a message in, then sometimes that works a little bit better. And this is a nice little tip to end on, but as much as your vows are lovely and it's amazing to write your vows for your partner in front of everybody that's there on your wedding day, it's also a really nice gesture to send them a little note to open on the morning of the wedding. So we both did this. Fraser and I sent each other a card and we didn't open it until the morning of the wedding, and it was so nice because we had friends and family sort of like deliver them to us, and it was just a really nice way to start the day off with a nice letter from each other and just sort of set the day off. But yeah, this has made me so excited for wedding season. If you are getting married, then I'm so jealous. I would love to do my wedding all over again because it was the most fun ever. And like I say, it would be even better if I'd had my Cricut machine back then, because the amount of projects you can do on the Cricut Design Space is incredible. So if you're getting married or you know someone that is, then it's definitely a wedding must have. And actually the expense of buying this in the first place will totally cancel out the expense you would have having to source it out elsewhere online or getting people to make it for you. Plus that's part of the excitement, isn't it? Just getting a bit crafty for your wedding and adding some nice personal touches as well. I really hope that this was helpful for any of you guys getting married. I am so looking forward to seeing wedding season and seeing everyone's dresses and how the fashion changes over time and the trends change. It's just amazing to watch. I just really wish that I was getting married again, so maybe we'll need to renew our vows soon. Anyway, have a lovely day and I will speak to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.